Hey, this is Jamey Schrier from Practice Freedom U. A wise man once said, Jamey, there are infinitely more people who need what you do than actually do what you do. And I thought about this, and there are 350 million people in the US, and a good portion of them actually could use the services that I provide, and I don't really need, as a small business owner, I don't really need too many of those people to come in. So this made me feel a little bit better because I'm like, okay, well, I know there's a lot of competition and it seems like everyone's doing better than me, but the reality is there's not enough providers out there. There's not enough of you out there providing services. So what's the real issue? Well, the real issue is maybe we're not that proficient and that consistent on how to generate more referrals to our practice. And I've spoken before about this thing called awareness, right? The first rule of marketing is awareness. People have to know you exist. You have to put it out there. So if you're having trouble with referrals, you're having trouble generating referrals and getting consistent referrals that turn into new patients, that turn into visits, that increase your financial situation and pack those holes in your schedule, the way I look at it is I start looking at marketing from a high level. You know, as busy, overwhelmed professionals, we could be in the weeds of doing everything. And when you're doing that, your perspective is going to be very reactive. Your perspective is going to be, reacting to the thing that's happening right now. And as a business owner, you want to step away from the fray when you look at your marketing. And one way to do that is take a 30,000-foot view and look at your marketing from three different components, three areas. So the first area of marketing, how referrals come into your practice, is by networking. Old school networking. Now, networking can come in a lot of different areas. Networking could be, yes, going and developing relationships with docs and MDs, but you know what? You can also develop relationships with nurse practitioners, with personal trainers, with coaches. There's so many different people out there that are influencers over your target audience. So of course, one of the preliminary things you want to do before any type of marketing is to dial in your target audience and know who has influence over them. So that's one area of networking. Building relationships with people in your community who have influence over their people. So if someone goes to them, hey, Jamey, you're a physical therapist. Who do you know? What's a specialist you know that can help me with my back? Well, I have influence over that person's decision and I can persuade them to go somewhere. The same thing's happening for people in your community. So the bigger network you have, the more people who know you, know of you, they like you, they trust you, the more referrals are going to come in. So building your network is huge. Now, part of building your network could also be doing, events, getting out in the community. Very, very important. All right. So that's the first thing I look at when I look at marketing. The second area that generates referrals, this one is more of a direct access, okay? Direct access, and a lot of times we can refer this to as digital marketing. So direct access, we have direct access in all 50 states, right? So having ways to engage and connect with your audience through digital forms, whether it's your website, it could be your social media, it could be through emails, heck, you can throw texts in there. These are all direct to consumer, direct to your potential prospect that can turn into a new patient for you. So I look at this as direct access. So we have building your network, one of the ways you generate referrals, and direct access, engaging in different digital means. And then the third one is interesting. See, the third one, we could call it word of mouth, but when I used to think of word of mouth, I used to think of a passive experience, right? I don't really have control over my word of mouth referrals. Like, people would refer people to me, but you know, sometimes they would do it in this particular month or this week, sometimes they wouldn't. So it became like a roller coaster of consistency. So I kind of looked at this and I go, what are we really talking about? What is a word of mouth referral? How does it come to be? So it's really about the patient experience. You see, when we have good experiences with things, we tend to talk about it. We tend to shout from the mountaintops that, hey, you got to go to this restaurant. It was awesome. You got to see this doctor. She was great. You got to go to this physical therapist. They were awesome and they can help you with your problem. So creating a patient experience intentionally can generate tons and tons of referrals from your current and your past patients. So when I'm looking at my marketing plan, I'm looking at these three areas. What am I doing to build the network, to get myself known in the community around the influencers of my audience? Number two, what am I doing from a direct access? Am I engaging in social media? If so, how often? Who am I focusing on? This also could be if you're doing some advertising, whether it's Facebook ads or whether it's Google pay-per-click. What are you doing with your website? How is your search engine going with your SEO? A lot of questions here. Can be overwhelming too, I get it. And then right here, how are you developing an amazing experience for each and every person that comes into your practice? This isn't something that just kind of randomly happens. This is something that has to be intentionally thought out. So, if you're having difficulties with referrals and you want to generate more new patients, you want to get more people, you want to help more people in your practice, what I would do is I would take a piece of paper. I like whiteboards and easels, and I like writing things out. I just see it better. And write down these three categories. Here, I'll make it easier. I'll put them in blue. Networking, direct access, and the patient experience. Write down these three and write down what you're currently doing in each of these areas. I just recently hosted a mastermind. We had some really bright, smart business owners in there. We did this exact exercise. Everybody took their marketing plan, split it up into three areas, and they wrote stuff down. What was interesting, they all had something in each of the areas, and I bet you do too. But until you look at it in this fashion and compartmentalize it in this fashion, a lot of times it just all hangs in your brain. And we want to kind of look at it from a 30,000 foot view. Once you do that, ask this: how are people coming in to your practice right now, and what's working best? You see, the hardest part is going wide, is trying to throw stuff at too many things, and that doesn't work well. What you rather do is look at what's working well for you and focus more time, more energy, possibly more money towards fewer things, but do them better. That's where you want to start. And as you do that, of course, you're going to measure your results. And as your results improve, you'll tweak it and refine it. So anyways, I hope this helps, looking at your marketing from a different perspective, a 30,000 foot perspective. If you have any comments, you'd like to share anything of what you're doing, how you're progressing, please do that. Love reading the comments, love responding to the comments. Other than that, Jamey Schrier, Practice Freedom U. I will see you next time with more helpful information.